Sometimes we get credit cards and then we realize they don't really work out for us and we want to cancel. But before you cancel, there may be a better option. Today, we're going to talk about product changing credit cards, upgrading them, and downgrading them. My name is Sean and I'm here with my co host.
Hi everyone, I'm Sherwin, the other half of the Credit Card BS podcast. Today's episode is all about product changes, literally everything you might need to know. I hope this will be the most comprehensive resource out there about product changes because there's really a lot of nuance to how to best strategize this sort of move. So first, let's start with what a product change is. So when a product has changed, that means a particular credit card account remains the same account on your credit report, but it has transformed into a different product such that you get the benefits and the fees of a different credit card. Sean, can you give us a concrete example of such a product change?
Yeah. So let's say I have the, Hilton no annual fee card. And it's really not doing much for me. I mean, it's fine. No annual fee card. And I'm like, you know what? I want to be a big boy. I want to get Hilton Diamond. I want to get an Aspire. And so if I choose, let's say my card's been open more than a year, I call up AMEX. I say, hey, I want you to change me to an Aspire. They upgrade me to an Aspire. I now pay the new annual fee. I have a new card that says Aspire, has all the exact same perks, all the exact same benefits of, long-term card holders. But on my credit report, absolutely nothing has changed. Same account, same, credit line, same age, everything like that. But I'm just now having a, different set of perks and benefits.
Yeah, it's actually very important that nothing on your credit report changes. So hypothetically, if they just closed that account and opened a new one, that's not what we want because we want to take advantage of the fact that, that credit account has been on your report and likely contributes positively to your credit score. So if you were to terminate it and make a new one, as opposed to just keep it and have the product change, that's going to be much more advantageous. Also, some issuers are picky about if you've opened new cards recently. For example, the Chase 524 rule. So product changing allows you to not affect your 524 score, even if you want a new product. So one of the most common reasons one might product change is when an annual fee posts and you decide you probably don't want to keep the card because maybe you got the card just for the bonus and you were intending not to keep it after the first year, or maybe you had a card for a while and you decide that the benefits don't make sense anymore relative to annual fee. So instead of canceling the card, you can actually downgrade the card. So Sean, why might it be more advantageous to downgrade instead of cancel in this situation?
Yeah, the main reason is the fact that if you downgrade to a card that has no annual fee, you're now not paying any fee, but the account on your credit report is still open. And, let's say this card has been on your report for 5 years. It's not really great to close it because then you're not benefiting from that old history. One of the, biggest factors of your credit score that a lot of people don't realize when looking at the actual numeric score is your age of accounts directly correlating to how much a bank can trust you. You could have someone with an on-paper score of, let's say, 800 who applies for a credit card and gets denied because maybe their cards are all fairly new, right? They only have, let's say, like a year and a half of history. Versus you could have someone with a lower numerical score, let's say like 750 or something, but they've got 15, 20 years of history. They're going to get approved a lot more frequently than someone with an actual higher score that is too young. So being able to keep old accounts on and active on your credit report has a massive effect, for keeping your credit score good, and not just keeping the score good, but if you're wanting to apply for cards and show that you have a long history, it's good with the banks in that sense.
Yeah, and usually I would say if there is a no annual fee option you can downgrade to, it's usually better to do that instead of closing it because there really is no harm to just keeping a no annual fee card open. Especially if it's an account you've had for a long time, the longer it's been on your credit report, the more it's just going to help you build that score up. Also note that you usually have a bit of extra time to downgrade to receive a refund of the annual fee after it's posted. Sometimes some issuers will even give you enough time where even if you've paid the annual fee, they could refund it to you if you're close enough within that time period. So make sure you check and you're on top of that. Otherwise, most product changes in the middle of the year will result in a prorated fee. Now, what types of cards can you product change from and to? So usually you can only product change to cards within a series. For example, Chase Ultimate Rewards earning cards. So you have Freedom Unlimited, Freedom Flex, Sapphire Preferred, Sapphire Reserve. You can interchangeably product change between any of those. But let's say you want the Chase World of Hyatt card and you currently have a Chase Ultimate Rewards earning card. You're not going to be able to product change that because it's considered a different series. So you have to kind of be aware of what the products are. Like most likely you can change a Southwest card to a Southwest card, a United card to a United card, an AMEX membership rewards earning point earning card to another one, but you can't switch between co-branded cards, this and that. So just something to be aware of. But there is one big exception, and that's with Citi personal cards. Citi is like the only issuer that will literally let you product change even across different series of cards. So for example, I could open the American Airlines Platinum Select personal card, and then after a year, I could theoretically downgrade it to a Citi Double Cash or Citi Custom Cash, even though they're completely separate products. But as far as I'm concerned, no other issuer allows this. Sean, is there anything else to add about this idea of product changing within a series?
No, I think it's pretty clear. I think the only thing I would want to say is like you cannot ever product change between personal and business cards. So if I have like an Amex Business Platinum, I cannot downgrade to the Amex Personal Gold, right? You must stay within the personal or the business side. You can't cross between them. Speaking of Amex as well, you should not downgrade or even just product change an Amex card to a card that you have not already opened before. And that's because Amex is one of the strictest issuers when it comes to offering sign-up bonuses. So Amex essentially has what they call the once-in-a-lifetime rule, where if I, at any point, hold a given card, whether or not I receive the bonus on it, just if I hold it, I am not eligible to receive that sign-up bonus on that card ever again in my lifetime. Now, lifetime is somewhat loosely defined, given the fact that data points have indicated it tends to be about 7 years ish of how they define lifetime. And sometimes they have what's called no lifetime language offers that get around it. But generally speaking, you should not be product changing Amex cards that you haven't had before, because you're locking yourself out of getting that bonus, and it's just really not something good to do. Now, if you've already gotten the Amex card before and you've already earned the bonus or you've already opened the card, then totally fine that you're not going to have that issue. It's just something to be aware of. I think also it's important to be aware of the fact that like when you're applying for a card to begin with, you should have an idea of like, look, one, is this card something I plan to keep open long term? And two, if it isn't, what is my plan going to be? Because let's say I open an Amex Personal Platinum. Amex doesn't have downgrade paths within their their flexible, what they call them, like flexible spending cards, basically charge cards. They don't have a true downgrade path within them, in the sense that I can go from like a platinum to a gold or a green, but all of those in that series have annual fees. So there's nothing I could downgrade an Amex card to that doesn't have an annual fee of that series of cards. And so it's a little annoying, because if I open a personal platinum, it's showing up on my credit report, it's affecting my 524 status and all that. And then a year from then, I now have to make a decision. Am I going to keep this card open? Am I going to downgrade to something less, or am I going to cancel? And the problem is, like, the Amex green and gold don't necessarily make always sense to downgrade to, especially the green. And the gold basically doesn't make any sense. If you already hold one gold, there's no sense in holding a second one. The platinum arguably is the best value of cards in that series, but it's $700. So you should have that in mind when you're applying for cards, kind of what your strategy is going to be. Now, there have been times when I've gotten cards that don't have a downgrade path, right? Because I'm planning to keep it open long term. But very good idea to have some understanding of what you're going to do beforehand.
Yeah, I think that's a really good point, especially with Amex. You want to be careful, because sometimes you'll get a card that you want to downgrade to its no annual fee option, or a lower fee option, then you realize that you've never gotten that bonus before, but then for some reason it doesn't make sense to get that bonus at the time, and you're kind of stuck with this higher fee card. Do you want to cancel it or keep it open because product change is not really an option given those constraints? So you kind of all want to plan this out in advance. So this is why I generally don't recommend like Amex Platinum for someone who's like very early on in the credit game, because the product change options are subject to these limitations. You may find yourself in situations where the only good option is to cancel it, and that's going to have a bigger effect on your credit if it's like one of your earlier foundational cards than if you got it later. So I usually try to build my foundational cards with Chase, for example, where the product changing is much easier, where I know I can easily downgrade or upgrade without hurting myself, or where I know I can just keep no annual fee cards long term. As compared to Amex, you have to be careful of these intricacies. Yeah, I feel like so many people get the Amex Gold now, especially like young people. I don't know what it is with their marketing. I feel like it's such an overhyped card, and then people get it. They realize, oh, I don't need this a year or two later, and then they're kind of like stuck with it because there's no annual fee option. And then it's like, oh, do I want to downgrade to the green card, which is $150 annual fee, which is, not that good of a card to begin with, but I also want to be careful if I downgrade to that. I haven't gotten the green bonus yet, so I'm going to lock myself. So it's this whole conundrum. So be very aware of what you're getting yourself into in the long term, basically, if you're going to go for one of the Amex personal membership rewards earning points. That's kind of my TLDR. Sean, anything else to add to this topic, or else I'm going to cover the next thing?
No, yeah, you covered it very well.
Cool. Okay, so the other thing you want to keep in mind is to never downgrade or cancel in the first year of having the card, especially if there's a bonus involved. Banks sort of expect you to keep a card open for at least an entire year when you've gotten it as a condition of receiving the bonus. It may be considered fraud or abuse if you try to cancel or downgrade in the first year. So be really careful of that. If they could potentially claw back your points or put you on some sort of blacklist where it's really hard to get their cards or bonuses again. So whenever you open a card and pay the annual fee, just expect to have that open for the first year. Second year, of course, you're welcome to reevaluate whether that card still makes sense for you, but go into a card application expecting to keep it open for 1 year. You're usually not going to save that much money by canceling in the middle of the first year anyway. Additionally, if you accepted a retention offer, pay very close attention to the terms of that retention offer, especially if it's from American Express. Oftentimes it will say you agree not to downgrade or cancel the card within 1 year from when you accepted that offer. So, if you accepted a retention offer, let's say 25 days after an annual fee is posted, right? Then you sort of agree to keep that card open for a year, not from when the fee posted, but from the date you accepted the offer. And depending on the timing, that may lock you in for not just this annual fee, but another annual fee down the road. And Amex will do very nasty things to your account if you try to renege on that term of the retention offer. So do not mess with them. And that's why I really recommend to be on top of annual fees posting. If you get an annual fee, you want to ask for retention offer, like do it right away when an annual fee posts. Because if you wait too long, you're going to be in this weird gray area time. So where 1 year from that actually will force you to keep it open for not just that year, but the following year as well. Does that make sense, Sean?
No, that's a very, very, very good point. And yeah, you're totally like, if you had a card with a downgrade path, it wouldn't be as bad because, right, you would wait a year from accepting the retention, and then you would downgrade to like a no annual fee card after that full year. You would then receive like the prorated fee. So it's not as bad in that case, but especially like something like an Amex Platinum or whatever, where there's like no actual real downgrade path, then yeah, like 100%. Yeah, super, super important to be aware of that. I think another thing that's really interesting with product changing is the fact is you can use it to get multiple of the same cards, because most banks will not approve you for a second of a card that you already hold. Depends on the issuer, but like usually as a rule, you're not supposed to like be able to open a card that you already hold. But if you are within a certain product range, a lot of times you can, upgrade or downgrade cards to, and then have multiple cards of the same in that same range. And so the classic example that I personally love with this is the Hilton cards, because what I did with the Hilton cards is I opened a Hilton Aspire, a Hilton Surpass, and a no annual fee Hilton. And I received sign-up bonuses on each of them because they're unique cards. Now, 1 year after holding the Surpass and several years after holding the no annual fee card, because that was a one I had a while ago, what I did is I just upgraded both of them into Aspires. Now, some people say like, oh, you should try to get upgrade offers and do it one at a time. I never got upgrade offers, so that was my only option. But now, like on my end, I hold 3 Aspires on just like my AMEX account. And so that's really nice because the Aspire, we've talked about it many, many times before, but it's super, super, super powerful. And having multiple of them, in my opinion, is like a better strategy than having one. And I've had my girlfriend get some Aspires, and my mom get some Aspires, and I'm adding as like AUs on all of them. So like right now, I've got like 6 Aspires I have access to basically, and it's a really nice strategy because it allows you to let if there's a card that prints money for you, essentially, why not have multiple of those cards? And so that's a really nice strategy. And you can also do this with like cards that allow you to earn certain like spending categories. So for example, like the City Custom Cash, that has a $500 a month cap on the 5X category, but there's nothing stopping me in theory from holding multiple custom caches, all having that separate limit of the $500 a month. So that would allow you, if you're spending a lot of money on whatever those categories are, you could be able to, earn a lot more back on all of them. And I think that's like a really, it's a really nice strategy to be able to get multiple of these cards because it's not always the case that we find a card that's like objectively like really good. And sometimes when there's a card that can long-term consistently produce significant value, having one of them doesn't always move the needle that much. One hotel night doesn't do all that much for me, right? So having like 5 hotel nights, that makes a bigger difference because I can make a full-on trip out of that. Sherwin, did I miss anything there? What are your thoughts on it?
I think that's a really good point. I love getting multiple of the same card through product changes because so often, like City Custom Cash is a good example. They won't give you a new one if you apply for it if you already have it, but you could product change a different city card to a custom cash card even if you've already had one. The other example I really like and the one I personally use is having multiple Freedom cards. So if you have a Freedom Flex, you're not going to get approved for another Freedom Flex or Freedom Flex bonus. But what I've done is product change my other Freedom cards or my preferred Sapphire Reserve cards every time I'm done with the first year and have gotten the bonus. Don't need them more. I'll just product change it to a Freedom. So like my family has like a good gazillion Freedoms. And what's really cool about that is every quarter you get 5x on their rotating category, but it's only up to $1,500. Sometimes we want to go over $1,500. So we can divvy up that spend on multiple cards. This was really insane for us when I think in one of the quarters this year, Chase gave 5x on dining. And, we sort of blew through several of these cards. And fortunately, we had multiple. Otherwise, we would have hit that cap and not been able to maximize as much as we have. So I really like having a bunch of Freedoms. That's like a common thing, especially because, you're going to get a Sapphire bonus. Once in a while, you're not going to keep the card. You're going to end up with a lot of Freedom cards. That's sort of an inevitable thing that happens to someone who plays around with Chase a lot. Now, do note that you cannot upgrade a card in the first year due to the Card Act, regardless of issuer. Basically, there's a federal law. I think the intent of the law is to say like, issuer can't scam someone by like jacking up the fees in the first year, which makes sense. But unfortunately for us, issuers have interpreted that to mean like even if you voluntarily want a higher tier card, you just can't get it the first year. You have to wait for 1 year anniversary before you can execute on that. So if you're planning on, for example, attacking Sean's strategy of getting multiple Hilton Aspires, you're going to have to wait a year after your Surpass or no annual fee card has matured, then you can do the upgrade. Another reason I like product changing is sometimes you can access quote unquote discontinued cards that you can't directly apply for anymore. Sean, what are some key examples?
Yeah, so like one that we all love is the Ritz-Carlton card. So this is a card that Chase has, it's a Marriott card, and you cannot directly apply for it. But if you hold another Chase Marriott personal card, and that's been open for more than a year, you are able to upgrade into that Ritz-Carlton card, which is really, really nice because that card, it pays for itself super easily. It's only like a 450 annual fee, but you get like a really good dining credit, and then you have like an 85K cert. So it's like totally pays for itself. Really useful.
It's
Another
actually a
example is the
flight
Amex
credit rather than a dining credit, but it's not too hard to use.
Yeah, flight credit. Sorry, but it's a really easy flight credit to use, right?
Yeah. Well, you kind of have
so
to
it's
call
like-
in to get stuff reimbursed. It's a bit annoying, but if you know what you're doing, you can definitely get the 300 back. So it's like paying what 50 for a 85K Marriott cert, which is way cheaper than the Bonvoy Brilliant, in my opinion.
Yeah, no, it's an insane deal. And, if you don't need the platinum status, it like totally makes sense to get that over the Brilliant. Speaking of the Brilliant though, another one is the Brilliant. You can downgrade into the $95 Amex Bonvoy card, which you cannot publicly apply for, but it's nice because the $95 card gives you a 35K cert. So it's, you're able to justify, let's say you're not able to justify the Brilliant long term, but you don't want to like cancel it or whatever. You can, but you still want necessarily want a nice, hotel card that gives you free certs every year for paying the annual fee. You could downgrade it to the $95 Bonvoy card, and that's like a really nice trick as well. So being able to do that for discontinued cards is really nice. We have seen, there's not that many cards you can do it for, but some of the ones you can do it for are really nice.
Yep, I think those are really good points. And then finally, one last thing to add is other Amex upgrade offers you want to be careful with. So, for example, a frequent one I've been seeing is people getting targeted to go from a Biz Gold to Biz Plat. It usually comes with a pretty juicy upgrade offer. And a lot of times you do want to take advantage of those upgrade offers because they far outweigh and justify the annual fee difference in the first year. But just again, because of Amex, make sure you've gotten the bonus independently for the card you want to upgrade to already, so you don't miss out on that if you upgrade, which would make you ineligible. So for example, if we're going to upgrade from Biz Gold to Biz Plat, again, make sure you've gotten the Biz Plat bonus before. Then you can get both that sign-up bonus as well as the upgrade bonus, rather than upgrading directly and then you missing out on the sign-up bonus. So get both, don't get just one of them.
Definitely, totally agree.
Okay, so I think that's about it for today's very comprehensive, hopefully, episode about product changing. So have you had experience product changing before? Leave a comment down leave a comment down below. Also, if you enjoyed today's episode and want to support our channel, please consider using one of our referral links down in the description below to sign up for any credit cards that you might be interested in. It really greatly helps support our channel. Just give this video a like and subscribe if it has been helpful to you. And Sean, why don't you plug our Discord?
So if you want to connect with an elite group of very knowledgeable and enthusiastic award travelers and credit card enthusiasts, check out the 100% free Traveling Discord group at the link in the description. You will learn a ton, I promise you. Thank you so much for watching, and we will see you next week.